Hey Tolos, Bobby Belt, Dallas Cowboys insider for 105 Through the Fan and 1053thefan.com. We're going behind enemy lines today and previewing the Washington football team with JP Finlay from our sister station 1067 The Fan in Washington, as well as NBC Sports Washington. JP, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas. We've got a close follow-up game from just a couple weeks ago, and it was a game where Washington was really hit hard by the COVID list. It continued into the next week. They had to play on Tuesday against Philadelphia, so they're coming off a short week. Where is their COVID status right now? I know Taylor Heineke's finally coming back. Where are they at health-wise coming into this game?
So it's kind of two separate questions, right? Because the COVID situation is actually improving. You get Heineke back, Kendall Fuller, Cam Curl. They've gotten. It seems like, I mean, like the whole country, right? Like there's a sharp increase, and then it kind of comes back down. Seems like they're on that decline, COVID-wise. They did have one new positive this week. That's their linebacker Cole Holcomb, who actually he's the defensive play caller. He's a big part of what they do, and he popped. So I don't know that he'll be back. But getting Curl and Fuller is vital for the back end of this defense because you got serious injuries to worry about. Landon Collins and William Jackson III. So a kind of linebacker hybrid safety in Collins, and then a starting corner in Jackson. They're both hurt, and they both got hurt in that Eagles game Tuesday night. Haven't practiced so far this week. I mean, we're recording this Friday morning. Maybe they get back out there today. I don't have a lot of expectations to see either of those guys. Maybe Collins. Jackson's injury was a non-contact 20 yards away from the play, and he was grabbing at his ankle or possibly his Achilles. That one concerns me a lot. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Antonio Gibson, their running back, who Cowboys fans may remember waving at them last year, he hurt his toe. It's the same turf toe injury he dealt with last season that cost him about 3.5 games. He tried to come back in against the Eagles, tried to kind of gut it out, and it wasn't pretty. I think those three guys could miss this game. Those are major.
Now, we know Montez Sweat is coming back in this game. He, similar to the situation with Amari Cooper, was unvaccinated, had to miss a longer period due to that. There was the same sort of question when Amari Cooper came back about was he going to be on a pitch count. He didn't play as many snaps in that first game back. Do you think we're looking at the same sort of thing for Montez Sweat? Will he be, limited in his snaps in this game?
Maybe. Maybe, but they have like even week one, beginning of the season, when there was so much excitement for Montez Sweat and Chase Young, those guys still were only playing like 70% of the snaps. So they believe in like a rotation on their defensive line kind of no matter what. And yeah, I wouldn't expect Sweat to be out there every snap, but I don't know when it goes from pitch count to their normal rotation. He had an impact play in Philly. He had a strip sack. Obviously, like for Washington, they'd love to see more of that. But, they had defensive line concerns last week and got most of those guys back from the COVID list, which helped them a lot.
When you look at this game, do you think Washington, having lost 2 straight games within the division, their playoff chances starting to slip a little bit, is this a demoralized group coming into this game, or are they still focused and believing, we can, finish out this season strong?
It's a great question. I think Heineke coming back gives them a lift offensively. And if you know Taylor at all, he is an extremely emotional, motivated, kind of chip on his shoulder guy. And I think the team will buy into that to some degree. I'd also say this. I don't know that Ron Rivera's the best coach out there, but he keeps his guys mentally with it. He keeps his guys bought in. And I would expect to see a good effort. Think about that Dallas game 2 weeks ago. I mean, the Cowboys dominated that game. And yet in the fourth quarter, Washington was a stone's throw away. And then same thing happened in Philly. They had no business being within 3 against the Eagles on Tuesday night. I mean, they had like a 40-man roster and a dude playing quarterback they signed 3 days earlier, and they cut it to 3 in the fourth quarter. So they tend to stick around and just hang around. That said, I think in Dallas, I kind of wonder if your offense could get its act together, then they should blow them out. I just don't know that that's going to happen.
Now, when you look at this game and the way that Washington would be able to win, draw up the scenario for me of Washington winning this game. What would have to happen, and how do you think they're going to attempt to attack Dallas in this game?
I mean, we almost saw it a couple weeks ago. You need Dak to turn the ball over, ineffective run game. The difference is you need Washington to have their run game going. When Washington can run the ball, possess long drives, control the clock, not turn it over. I mean, they had 4 turnovers against Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. Heineke's god awful. Honestly, that was probably his worst game as a pro. And I mean, the defensive line for the Cowboys just beat the tar out of him. So I think protect Taylor. He's got to not throw the YOLO balls, get the ball out faster. He's got to understand the speed of that Cowboys pass rush, particularly Parsons. And they've got to run the ball. I don't think they're going to have Gibson, so I think it's going to be really hard for them to run the ball. But the scenario is Cowboys offense looks broken. Dak turns it over. Washington's able to run the ball, and they win the turnover battle.
And finally, of course, I think everybody's going to wonder, are we going to see the benches traveling from Landover to Dallas?
Like, I'm a native Washingtonian. Like, this bench thing is so embarrassing. And Ron Rivera has pretty much, like, distanced himself and was like, listen, I didn't know about the benches. I'm not involved in the benches. On the surface level, to me, it's very much Jerry Jones got the better of Dan Snyder and brought his own benches up here, and now Dan is trying to, like, get back at Jerry. And, yes, the benches are coming. It's incredibly stupid. And from what I've been told, the benches will be in a temperature-controlled, enclosed stadium just in case it gets cold in North Texas, I guess. Isn't it supposed to be 80 degrees, by the way?
Yeah, it's really nice outside today here on the 24th. So, all right, JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington and 106.7 The Fan. We appreciate you. You can follow him on Twitter at JP Finlay NBCS. JP, Merry Christmas.
You too, buddy. Always good to talk.